I want to talk to you guys about anxiety. And I know a lot of people say, if you've got mental health issues, no one can understand it. And it's true to a certain extent. But I think the thing is trying to get balance between sorting yourself out and getting professional help is a really important thing to do. Some people can muddle on in life and be relatively okay, but everybody has stresses and anxieties and sadnesses, and when it goes into that diagnosis of depression or tips over into these things that require something more to help, then I still think it's a spectrum. It's not like you've suddenly just become a depressed person and there's nothing you can do about it, and there's no mechanisms that you can use within yourself and intrinsically. And it is a very complex area, and I do not want to diminish it or try and say I am a mental health expert, but I just think that there is a lot that we ignore within ourselves, and simple things we can do to help with that. And some of the things we do are a real disaster. That people in the past were prescribed these wonder drugs, these new drugs, anxiolytics for anxiety. And this was a huge trend in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and even now, for general practitioners to prescribe. It's just like lollies from these pharmaceutical companies that would push them onto the public, and at great profit to these companies. Drugs that would diminish the immediate sense of anxiety, but the consequences of people taking those benzodiazepines and subsequent drugs has had an incredibly bad effect on people's anxiety ultimately. After a few days on those sort of drugs, your brain becomes used to that, and the receptors, just like many other drugs, are requiring of that to maintain your level of calmness. And so once you've been on it for a few days, not only is the effect diminished after a few days because your brain is used to that drug, but you're also addicted to it to the point that if you try and stop it, your levels of anxiety go up so high that you find it very, very difficult to get off those drugs in order to be somewhat rational. So my point is, people should be aware of these things, and people should be avoiding going on to those sort of drugs if they can, and finding methods and techniques that will help. People say exercise. I think exercise is incredibly important in this. Finding a quiet place that you can call home in your heart, and you can look out onto a vista and feel the calm that's out there, finding the quiet within yourself. And I do want to do a guided meditation, because I've listened to guided meditations my whole life. I've been very interested in meditation, very interested in that quiet spot. And I know when I'm not in a good focused way, it's because I haven't found that quietness again. I haven't returned to the quiet within myself. And I think it's really crucial that we work on techniques that are useful, and I think meditation is a good one. So I'm going to do a guided meditation with some of the techniques I've picked up over the years, and I'll do that in another talk. But all I wanted to say was, if somebody's going to prescribe you some of these things, I mean, antidepressants is another issue. I mean, but the benzos are bad news. If you can avoid taking those, and once you're on them, it's tough. Like, it's really, really tough. You've got to halve the dose. You've got to halve the half dose over a week, another week, to get off these things. They're really very bad drugs, in my opinion, if you can avoid them. Now, some people are so in trouble that they needed it, in times of absolute hysteria. They do have a role, but for the general person who's trying to seek peace and calmness within themselves, I would not recommend taking any benzodiazepines if you can help it.